All right, today we're going way back in time. We're going to uncover the real origin story of the Minoans. And yeah, for a minute, let's just push the myths aside, because we're about to see how Europe's first great civilization was actually built. Piece by painstaking piece. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The first high civilization in the Aegean. We're talking before the famous Greeks, before so much of what we think of as the foundation of Western history. There were the Minoans. And look, this wasn't just another ancient culture. This was a huge leap forward for the entire region. So the big question is, how did it really all get started? So, when you picture the Minoans, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's probably one specific place, right? The sprawling, almost labyrinth-like palace of Knossos on Crete, the home of the legendary King Minos. It's basically the postcard image of Minoan power and sophistication. And look, that image is totally correct, but only for a specific point in their history. Knossos absolutely was the heart of Minoan culture when they were at their peak. It's the perfect snapshot of a powerful, fully formed civilization. But here's the fascinating part, the real twist. That image, that's actually the middle of their story. It's not the beginning at all. So to find the real beginning, we've got to rewind the clock. And I don't mean by 100 or 200 years. No, we need to go back more than 1,000 years before those incredible palaces ever reached their peak. The groundwork, the actual foundations, were laid so much earlier. And this timeline really just drives home the scale of what we're talking about. Look at this. The famous palatial age, the era of Knossos, that doesn't even kick off until around 2000 BCE. But the civilization itself starts to bubble up way back around 3000 BCE. That is a 1,000-year gap. So you have to ask, what on earth was going on during all that time? Oh, and here's another really cool detail for you. The name we use for them, Minoan, yeah, that's not what they called themselves. Not even close. It's a modern label, something archaeologists came up with, inspired by that legend of King Minos. We actually have no idea what these people call themselves. It's just gone. It's such a powerful reminder that we're basically detectives here, piecing this whole story together from the clues they left behind. So what was the secret sauce? What was the recipe here? How do you go from a bunch of simple farming villages into this super sophisticated Bronze Age civilization? Well, it wasn't just one magic bullet. It was a perfect storm, really. A combination of crucial ingredients that all came together at exactly the right time. And it really boils down to three main things: their incredible location, a game-changing new technology, and the fact that they became masters of the sea. So let's break each one of those down and see how they set the stage. Okay, first up, geography. I mean, just look at where Crete is on a map. It's perfectly positioned. It's like this natural stepping stone right in the middle of all the major players of the ancient world. This was not some isolated island out in the middle of nowhere. It was a crossroads. And that location made it a total hub for goods, for people, and maybe most importantly, for new ideas. All right, the next key ingredient was a massive technological leap, moving from copper to bronze. And you have to understand, this was an absolute game changer. See, bronze isn't just a harder, better metal. The key is how you make it. You need two different materials, copper and tin, and they're usually not found in the same place. So just the need to make bronze forced people to establish long-distance trade routes. It created this powerful cycle of connection and innovation that just fed on itself. Okay, so we've got the perfect location, and we've got this new game-changing technology. But that's only part of the story, right? The really profound changes were happening inside the society itself. All these new jobs and new kinds of power structures started to pop up. See, as these communities started to get more prosperous, not everybody had to be a farmer anymore, and that meant people could specialize. So first, you get expert potters who are making this beautiful pottery that suddenly becomes a really hot item for trade. And then you get these incredibly gifted metal workers. They're not just making tools anymore. They're creating delicate gold jewelry, all kinds of luxury goods. These are crystal clear signs that some people are getting pretty wealthy. And finally, you have master seal cutters. Now, these little intricate stone seals were basically personal signatures, and they were used to mark property. And think about it, that's a huge deal. You only need a signature when you actually have something valuable that you need to claim as yours. Now, all this specialization wasn't just happening randomly. It was all part of a much bigger shift in society. The archaeology is pretty clear here. We start to see local leaders popping up at key sites. And we also see new, really distinct burial customs developing, like these chamber tombs. Things like that suggest the communities were getting way more organized and, social classes, hierarchies were starting to take shape.
Okay, so let's take a step back. We have all the pieces of the puzzle on the table now, right? A prime location, this new technology, specialized craftsmen, emerging leaders. So the big crucial question is, how do all these things fit together to take us from tiny villages all the way to those magnificent palaces that we started with?
And here you can see how it all stacks up. It was a gradual, step-by-step chain reaction. You start with the foundation, settled farming communities. That stability allows for overseas trade, which is supercharged by bronze technology. That trade then supports all those specialized crafts, which in turn creates wealth. And that wealth creates the need for local leaders to manage everything. It's this slow, thousand-year-long buildup of complexity that finally creates a society that is rich enough and organized enough to build the great palaces. And this really gets us to the most important takeaway here. Famous civilizations like the Minoans, they aren't just born overnight. They are built slowly, deliberately, over dozens and dozens of generations. And that's such a powerful lesson in how history really works most of the time. Not in these big, sudden explosions, but through slow, gradual, cumulative change. Which kind of leaves us with one final big question to chew on, doesn't it? If great civilizations are really built out of all these small, cumulative changes in technology, trade, and society, then what are the seemingly small building blocks being laid right now, today, that are going to end up shaping the world 1,000 years from now?